Hello everyone. I wanted to do one quick video on how to do custom policy for Azure Governance. Now, if you are familiar with the Security Center, you probably know there are lots of Azure policies that are built in, and you can use a lot of them. There is some guidelines how you should be using those policies that are already comes as built-in from Azure, and time to time you may need to implement some of your own requirements for your own Azure environment. Now in this video I'm going to show you how to create one custom policy from scratch. Now I don't have that many slides, but I'll just say one thing. For the policy requirement, you really have to think about in two different ways. What do you want in your policy? Like say for resources, you want to allow certain type of SKUs. So you can have a policy that can say, okay, these are the only SKUs that are allowed, or you can have a policy where you just want to deny some of the resources that you don't want. Okay, like you can say, okay, these are the SKUs we do not want for my virtual machines. For example, in here, for storage account, you can have a policy that each storage account must be enabled for HTTPS. Okay, or you can have a policy each storage account must be disabled for HTTP. Okay, both kind of does the same thing, right? HTTP, if you disable this, that means you can only have HTTPS, or it can look for HTTPS and make sure that option is turned on. Okay, now I'm going to give you the link to this particular page, and it kind of goes over some of the basics of what you need to look for. And let me just go to this page, and here although it says create a custom policy definition, this tutorial does not really create a custom policy. It kind of gives you an overview, and it's a very good page. I would highly recommend that you go on and read this. So the need, when you need a custom policy, they're saying you may have a security practice requirement. From the cost management standpoint, you may want to monitor what, and stop deployment of very high cost resources. And you can also have organization specific rules like naming standards or locations where you may want to deploy. Okay, so here there's a quick guide from Microsoft. Identify use business requirements and then match if requirement to an Azure resource property, and this is very important. Okay, not every single property or whatever your business requirement is, if there is no property that is exposed and mapped to an alias, you may not be able to implement a policy. Okay, and then you also have to determine what effect to use in a policy, like do you want to completely deny the deployment of a resource if the deployment violates a policy rule, or do you want to audit it? Okay, or maybe even you want to fix it. Okay, and then once you have all those kind of outline, you can compose the policy definition. So, and these are the two examples that I took and put in my slides. Again, they're talking about you can have the same kind of policy in two different way. So effects, most common would be the audit, deny, and sometimes they have disable. So if you don't want to use the policy, you can disable it. You can change the policy parameter. Now, first is determination of the policy of the resource properties. Where do you get it? So let's just go to the Azure. So say we are gonna stick to the Azure storage account. So I have few storage accounts that are already deployed. Okay, so I can open up any of this storage account. There are multiple ways to look at it. I can just click on this JSON view. Okay, that is gonna give me a whole bunch of the properties and how these properties are used to deploy this particular storage account. So the thing that you should absolutely know is type. So this storage account is a Microsoft.storage slash storage accounts, so that we know that this is the type, because you're going to need this for your policy implementation. And in properties, so for this type, minimum TLS version is TLS 1.2. That's what I have selected. So I can create a rule. If it's not 1.2, then deny. Or here, right, allow blob public access is true. And do you think that is it a good thing? Probably not. Allowed public access to the blob storage should be false. So I can create a policy, and I can say allow blob public access is false. Okay. Now, some of the policies that you may be thinking that you need, as you may already have those policies. Okay, so always start and look and see if there is a built-in policy already available that you can use, or you can kind of use as a starting point and then modify some of the properties to come up with your own policy. So let's copy this one and kind of store it in some place. Okay, so we may need to use this one later. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep this one, and allowed shared access bypass. So I'm just going through and looking for things in here. What support HTTPS traffic only. So this is another good one, that we want to make sure that HTTP traffic is not allowed. It always we are using encryption. So that one is another property. We can write some rules. Access tier, provisioning stage, we don't need any of that stuff. So let's just work on those two. Okay, let's come back to my slide. Let's see what else that I wanted to tell you. Okay, so again, how to find the properties. So that's what we were kind of talking about, and we got distracted. So here is one place where you can go and look at the JSON file of a particular resource. Or what you can do, you can start a deployment of a new resource of like a storage, say, and then come up over here. I'm just trying some random name, and then you just go and then go enable some of this stuff. You don't need to. I'm just doing a secure transfer request, say it's disabled. Tags I don't need. Next, review and create. And at this point I have not really created this particular policy. Okay, but what we can do, we can click on download a template for automation. Okay, that one also gonna give you all the properties. Like, you just come down to the resources, and then you will have the properties, and here's the access tier, minimum TLS version, support HTTP traffic only, allow public blob access. All of that would be in here, that you can kind of look at what are the parameters that you can use to restrict the deployment of a particular type of resource. Okay, let's go back to our slide. So we looked at this, and other thing is resources.azure.com. That's something very new that Azure has come up with. So if you just go to resources.azure.com, okay, then you can look at your providers. You will go to your subscription. Okay, if subscription will give you the high level view and the JSON properties of your subscription. Then you can drill inside this particular subscription, like resource group. You can open it up, and in this resource group we have the resources. Actually, go to providers. Here is the Microsoft storage. You can go to the storage. Here is the storage account, and again from the storage account you can look at the properties as well. Again, SKU, tags, properties, and again this is HTTP traffic only is true. All that kind of stuff, they're also in here. Okay, so now we know how to get the properties, and so the next thing is we gotta understand what are the aliases, and the aliases must be exposed, and they kind of have to be mapped to the resource provider and the property that you're trying to do. So there are just two commands right in here that you can use once you log into your account. you can run, hold on, you can run this command. Okay, so let's get az policy alias. So we're just going to run it from the cloud shell. So if I come over here, so what we'll do, clear. So if it says, it's not available, so let's just get rid of this, open up the cloud shell one more time, and once the cloud shell is available, we're just gonna quickly run and just give you an example of how to get the aliases that you need. So okay, over here, get policy alias and list available, and it's now thinking, and let's see. So all of these are now available for me, right? So if you go up to the very top, let's see what we have. So very top, what you were seeing over here, oh, it's a very long list, but these are okay, your providers, and then over here you have all the aliases listed. Let me see if I can this window is not as good, but what you can do, you can play with this one, add some add some add some star, like to filter out stuff, and add some patterns to focus on some of these items and don't look at everything. The other way to do it is like you can run commands like this to focus on a particular type. So here, so the example command from Microsoft was for compute, so let's just do that for storage, because that is what we are interested in this particular video. And if you hit enter here, so it's gonna go and get az policy alias, so what you can use, and it's gonna give you the name of the all of the aliases that you can use. Okay, default path, a name. One thing to note in here, let's see if I can find, so there are some of the properties, like over here you see that it's got a star, okay, and some other it just there is no star. So if it's a star, that means you can pass on an array for validation, okay, and if it's there is no star, that means it's a single value that you're gonna check. Okay, all right, that's just something I wanted to quickly update you or let you guys know. And let's see, so that's all I have in this particular slide. So let's just get started with creation of a policy. So to create a policy, what you need to do, you need to just come up to policy. There are multiple ways to get over here, so I'm just going to go to the policy, and definition is under authoring. You have assignment, definition, and exemptions. Definitions is where you're going to create all the policies. So in this video we're just focusing on a policy, so we're just going to create a policy definition. And first of all, you need to choose a location. So if I had a really management group, I want to store it at the root management group so I can assign to all other policies. I don't have any management group in here, so I'm going to choose the single subscription that I have, and then do select and name. I'm going to say test custom policy for storage. Okay, and we were using allow blob public access, so let's try to do something like that. So disable public access to blob storage. Okay, so this is gonna be the name of my policy. You can come up with a better we can come up with a better name, and follow whatever naming convention is good for you. I'm gonna cancel this one. Here's my bar, come on, I hate this when it happens, but come on, and then I'm just trying to move this to the left, and there we go. It's it worked. Still getting used to Mac maybe. All right, let's see. Gee, I'm so sorry that it's happening this way. Okay, so now I have this. I'm gonna copy this name that I have and just put it in the description once again. Now here under category, okay, you can use an existing category that you already have, or you can create a new category if you like. Okay, and it should create a new category for you. So test custom, something like that. Now over here, okay, so here you gotta define all of that stuff. Okay, so now where do we get that stuff? So what I recommend, okay, so this is like uh, one of the Azure policies. So there's a GitHub link. Okay, I'm gonna give you this link as well in my video. So let me just go back over here, put it in this location. So I'm gonna remember to copy both links and give it to you. So in the GitHub location where you have all those Azure policies that are built in. And what I want to do, go to built-in policies, policy definitions, and I'm just gonna look for storage. Okay, I don't want to start from scratch. I just want to go and use a pre-existing. I'm just gonna take any of them, but since I want to create a deny policy, I'm just looking for one that says deny. Okay, so I'm just gonna click this one now, and I'm just gonna copy all. I'm gonna actually go to the raw, and then I'm gonna copy everything. Okay, so that should give me the basic structure to create the policy for myself. So in here, I have already given the name and description, and over here I'm gonna copy and then paste. Now over here, so the description that we have, I can match the description same as this. So Control C, and let's put it, change that to this. Okay, now it's not a built-in policy, it's gonna be a custom policy. So let's just change that to custom. Mode indexed is fine. Again, the description I can change it. Let's see, I want to change it. Oh, I'm gonna change all of that. Okay, so give me 1 second. And I'm gonna show you one more thing that is important. So here is the same, I'm just gonna use the same name whatever I had. Metadata, this policy was deprecated, but our policy is not. Category is storage. I'm gonna change that to test, then custom, like same as this one. Deprecated, I'm going to change that to false, right? This is what we are creating now. Policy parameters, something I'm not going to discuss. You can I'll probably do another video for this, but here is the policy rule. Okay, in the policy rule, if we are looking for this type of resource, so if the type of the resource that someone is going to deploy is a storage account, in that type, if the field is this, and here what I want to do, I want to change this. Enable blob encryption is not the field that we want. We want, let's say, this allow blob public access. So copy and then paste. Okay, so this is the field. If this equals not false, if true, so if someone is enabling this allow blob public access, then what is the effect of this policy? I want to deny this, so I'm gonna call it deny. On this one, you already got a randomly created number. I'm just gonna change something in here. So let's F, make it G, and A94, change that to G. So that's all I'm gonna do. Okay, should this again, under properties you have display name, same name, custom policy, indexed, description. You have some metadata about the policy, and some of that is actually required, your version number and category. Parameters for this policy I don't need any. Policy rule is a very simple one, we're going to deny. If for a storage account, if this particular field setting is true, then we're going to deny, and we're going to say save. Okay, so once we do that, I got a notification this policy definition is successful. So let's see, if I click this one, did it create my test custom? Yes, it did. So I'm gonna deselect all, and I'm gonna come down to, or I'm just gonna search for test custom. I think that is what we created. So this is a policy. So now we have a policy that we are ready to assign. Okay, so now how do you assign the policy? So you can go assignments, or you can even open up the policy just like that, and you can click on assign. Okay, so now you have to assign to a scope. Okay, so again I'm going to assign to my scope. So if you assign to a higher level scope, it will trickle down to the other scope that are below. So if you are applying to the root management level scope, all subscriptions under a management will have this policy enabled. Okay, so since I have only one subscription, I'm just going to apply to this one, no exclusion. And you can change this name if you like. You can say assign at this time, and if you want you can have another description. And what I'm gonna do, parameters, this policy I don't need any parameters. Remediation you don't need. Now non-compliance message, okay, you can say hello, we do not allow public blob store. Okay, so something like that, that makes sense. And then review and create, and then you create the policy. Let's see if the policy assignment is now successful. Okay, so now let's go back to home and go back to storage account. So let's try to create a new storage account. Okay, I'm going to put it in the same resource group, and public blob test, something like that. Okay, and then networking. So here the public endpoint is enabled. Okay, let's see what happens. And then create nothing else is, so we have not created any policy for the secure transfer required yet, so we don't need to worry about that one. And here, for whatever reason, in this phase the validation is passed, but if the policy is created properly, it should still fail to create this resource. Let's test it out. So now it's submitting the deployment, and now look at the deployment fail. What I feel Azure should check for this policy even at the validation stage, and look at what deployment resource group test.g failed. Additional details from the deployment API might be at least one resource deployment operation failed. Okay, so you click on this one, and here resource pub was disabled by policy. Reason, hello, we do not allow public blob store. So do you see that? So what it means, that the policy that we created, it's a custom made policy, and we created from scratch and we applied. Now this policy is stopping someone to create this resource that violates our organization policy, because in our organization we do not want public access to the blob storage. So you can look at the raw error as well by clicking on this, and again you should have a message, hello, we do not allow public blob store. Okay, so that tells your whoever is working on it, he can go back, that person, he or she, and fix this problem and redeploy, and we should be able to deploy the resource. So hopefully you got a good understanding of how to create a custom policy from scratch, and just play with it, and come up with your own business requirements. And this was a simple one. You may have a more complex requirement that may require an array and a more if else and all that kind of validation. But always start with a policy that's already defined and built in. Use that policy as a template, and hopefully you have something that you can use. Always also understand that Microsoft support is pretty good. If you are completely stuck, go ahead and contact them for any help if you have any support agreement, and based on that you should be able to get additional help as well. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. If you don't like, give me the thumbs down. And please subscribe for the video for future updates, and thanks for watching. I hope this video was useful. Have a great day. Thank you.